Welcome to the Cult Classic Horror Show. Every week, you can have the conversations you've always wanted to have about the films you love.
Shut up!
We're gonna get you. Not another peep. Kinda
Get rid of your distractions and prepare yourself.
Then lock your door. 5, 6, crucifix.
You got a big surprise coming to you. You're not going anywhere.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cult Classic Horror Show. I'm Danny Bonin.
Welcome back, guys. Scotty Bonin here. Good to have you.
We are the Blood Brothers.
Yeah, Blood Brothers.
And this is...
Episode 16?
Well, no, 17.
17, that's right.
Episode 17, and we are in our second episode of the month of March, and we're talking about Friday the 13th.
All things Friday the 13th, baby. And we got part 3 and 4 on the way for this episode.
So
and they're so hard to tell which one's which.
They are. We watched them yesterday, right in a row, and then we watched some documentary footage and wrote some notes down and everything. And even like by the end of the documentary footage, I was like, what? Okay, did this happen in the third one or the fourth one? What the fuck? Which one is which? They're just so much alike that I'm like, what is going on in these two movies?
We knew they both involved kids coming up into a campy area and all of them getting killed by Jason besides one person. So we knew they were familiar besides that way or that way.
That's easy enough.
And the only the distinguish the second one, we have the little kid Corey Feldman in it. So that's one way of remembering it better.
Yeah.
And then of course Crispin Glover stuff too. So
the third one has hippies and bicycle gang in it. Or motorcycle gang.
Stoned hippies and motorcycle gang. And then the fourth one has like more boobies and Corey Feldman.
Oh yeah, the third one was weak on boobies.
Oh yeah. There was like one scene that you could like saw a side boob and that's it.
It was barely a flash of boobie, like barely a flash. Just you saw a little bit of nipple and it was gone.
Yeah, like a little pepperoni and that's it.
I didn't like it. I don't know why they held back so much on the boobs in the third one.
Yeah, fourth one was like boob every other scene.
Boob central.
Yeah, like 11-year-old Corey Feldman was like in heaven.
Yeah, he had a little mini boner.
Oh yeah. God, I'd be on the scene all excited about that.
Yeah.
I love that scene when he sees, we're going into it, when he sees the people having sex across the window and he's like freaking out in his bed, jumping around and stuff, having a tantrum. That was so hilarious.
So forewarning that as we talk about these, we might mix them up.
Yes.
Here and there.
Especially like the names of the characters and stuff because they're so similar. I mean, we have a group of girls and a group of guys that are going away on a trip in a van, and that's like how both of these kind of went.
Like up until now, it's basically the same story.
I mean,
part 1 through 4 is the same exact fucking story. There's with some give and takes. Like there's people by a lake in the woods being stalked by a killer.
Yes.
So, I mean, the first one's different because Jason's mom is the killer.
No one ever sees the killer.
No one ever sees him. Then the second one is different because Jason wears a potato sack a pillowcase the whole time on his head.
And then we get introduced to the mask in the third one.
Yeah, and then third and fourth, he wears the mask in both of them.
Mask. Yeah.
And they're just super similar. So, well, yeah, let's jump into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So, and these were made right after another two, like 80, 81, 82, 83. So, actually, there might have been a little space between part 3 and part 4. But it was still there. I think there was a 2 year difference.
There was 2 years,
there.
yeah. 82 was part 3 and 84 was part 4. Before we get into some of the cool facts and behind the scenes, there were some notes just watching the movie that I thought was a little ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So, like 2 times in the first one, this is what I remember about the first one, because you got the hippie people in it. Mm-hmm. There's 2 times where the characters shit and then get up without wiping.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. And this shit, that first scene in part 3, because because they see the TV and then they're in the convenience store and the guy gets spooked out because his rabbit gets killed and then he goes to shit right away and you can like hear like.
Oh yeah, it's plopping out.
I'm like, oh my God.
It's obviously butt pee. I mean,
butt pee. His ass is going to be sloppy. He's going to need to wipe like 6 or 7 times.
Doo-doo butter.
Yeah. But he gets up and pulls his pants up without even wiping at all.
Yeah. He just fucking like, he's not even like you when you're little. Like you just wiped twice and that was it.
Yeah, that's when I was little.
Scotty would just no matter what, just wipe twice and he's done.
Didn't even look at the toilet paper, just wiped it. And that's when I was like a little kid. Now I like wipe until it's raw. I mean, I got to make sure.
Sometimes I wipe till I bleed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't
wipe until there's blood on the toilet paper. Sorry guys, this is really bad.
Sometimes I don't aim to wipe till I bleed, but sometimes my last wipe has like a little red dot on it.
Yeah.
Like, oh damn.
Like a little red streak.
I really got that shit off there.
Sorry, go for it.
No, I'm saying now because of that, I have wet wipes. Now you finish off with a wet wipe.
I need to invest in some wet wipes. Or there's like special butt wet wipes for you.
Butt wet wipes?
Like the ones that aren't right by the toilet paper that you get for that purpose.
I don't know.
I should just get regular wet wipes.
I don't know what that is. I have flushable kind.
Oh, nice.
Flushable wet wipes.
See,
and
that's what I'm talking about.
But you don't use it every shit. Now, like I shit like 2 to 4 times a day, probably. Mm-hmm. Like some days I only shit once, but like 2 to 4 times a day. And like your first and second shit, you're doing all right. But if you're, your third, fourth shit, you're feeling like, my ass probably smells by now. So then you got to use the wet wipes.
Yeah, you got to clean it up.
To clean it up.
I need to invest in some of those.
So, and those of you that think that's weird, like our cousin Casey, he shits like once every 4 days.
Yeah.
I think that's the weirdest fucking thing ever.
He does not have a good, system. His body system is not functioning right.
I just don't think he eats enough.
All he eats is cereal.
Yeah, he just eats cereal. But if he's eating the right kind of cereal, it should, that grainy stuff should make him shit.
It should.
But no. So.
Well, you know what's weird? My fiance, she doesn't look at the toilet paper. She just knows when it's good after she wipes.
How do you know if you don't look at the toilet paper?
That's what I said. That's what I asked her. I'm like, how do you know if it's good if you don't look? I can just feel it. I'm like, what?
No, you have to look at the toilet paper when you wipe your ass.
Sorry, hon. I'm not saying your name on this, but I don't mean to talk about either the way you go to the bathroom.
I'm curious. Like, I've had some conversations with other people, but I mean, that's the thing. Everyone looks, right?
Oh, you gotta look.
You have to look. If you're listening to this, just, shoot us a post on our Facebook page real quick if you look at the toilet paper when you're shitting.
Yeah.
Because we want to know. I want to know if that's a normal...
If you look to make sure.
Are we the weird ones because we look at the teepee when we wipe our asses?
Yeah. Or if you wipe both ways, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, the big debate is, do you wipe standing up or sitting down?
Oh, yeah.
I always stand up.
I stand full up. I don't just lift the butt cheek up and wipe.
No.
You got to stand up.
You don't stand like full head upright. I mean, you stand up with your head bent down between your legs. And yeah, I'm a stander, too.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so in the movie, in part 3, there's 2 crap scenes where they just get up and pull their pants up because Jason's lurking around. And you're talking about the stoner guy.
Yeah, he's in the outhouse.
In the outhouse, who looks like Tommy Chong.
He does look like Tommy Chong. I was just repeating his lines in Tommy Chong style the whole time. I watched him.
Man, you go to the outhouse, man. Hey, I'll be out here, friendly man.
What's going on with the lights, man?
Yeah. But yeah, and he's obviously a stoner and smoking a joint, so it fits perfect.
For the rest of both of those scenes, all I could think about was it didn't even wipe his ass.
I know.
He's got shit all over his underwear right now.
And he's running from a killer, and he's got crap. Well, actually, they don't even...
The stoner doesn't even, like, the girl meets up with him.
Yeah, about
and they walk around for a minute. She's probably like, did you just shit your pants or something? All I smell is crap.
His girlfriend's hot, too.
I can't believe in a movie. I mean, who didn't think of that?
Yeah.
If I was directing, I'd be like, all right, now you stand up. And then I would instantly in my head go, whoa, wait a second. You got to wipe your ass real quick first.
Even if like 1 or 2 wipes, just like one quick one, that would suffice even for us movie watchers.
Yeah.
But this was back in the 80s, and, maybe they didn't wipe back then. So.
I'm pretty sure they did.
They probably did. So anyways, that was just a fun fact. So when you're watching it, guys, just check that part out.
Oh, you guys probably noticed already because it was killing me. I was like, wipe your ass. Yeah. Anyways. And then limited boobs, of course. We already talked about that. Mm-hmm. Limited boobs.
Only like one side boob scene, and that's it.
And we already talked about how the guy looked like Tommy Chong. And then I think that Shelley, first of all, the guy's name is Shelley, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He looked like a mini Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Gosh.
I really think so.
His real name is Larry Zerner, but I thought when he first was introduced, he had that mask on, and I thought it was like a fat girl with curly hair, because Shelley, it's
Shelley.
Girl.
I know, he's like, Shelley, get out here, Shelley.
Yeah, but then I heard his voice, and I'm like, oh, that's a guy. I guess that could be a guy's name, whatever. But still, it's weird.
I guess if Ashley can be a guy's name in Evil Dead, then Shelley could be a...
And then you get, you're right. We got Ash in Evil Dead and Ashley in Evil Dead. And then there's another crazy guy in part 3 that's laying in the middle of the road.
Yeah, a new crazy guy. No, not Ralph anymore.
Not Ralph, because Ralph's dead.
Has an eyeball.
And, he has that eyeball. It's crazy.
So this was 1982, and part 2 was 1981. So, I mean, they're a year...
They're all
right next to each other. They were actually going to have... An original script for part 2 was... Ginny, or Ginny... Ginny from part 2.
Amy Steele.
Who lives at the end. She's the only survivor. They take her away in the hospital cot. We don't even know what happened to the other guy, as we talked about last episode.
He just disappears off the face of the earth.
So an original draft of the script was going to have Ginny in it again, and she was going to be in a mental hospital. And Jason was going to come finish the job in the mental hospital. And
they were going to title it Friday the 13th meets Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th meets Cuckoo's Nest. So obviously he would come to kill her, finish the job, and then he was going to start killing all the other patients
all the
as
mental
well.
Patients. So that's the direction that part 3 was going to go in.
Yeah, that was an initial draft of the script. So that would have been interesting. Obviously they scrapped it, but directed by Steve Miner, who was the director for part 2 as well. And
same producer Frank Mancuso Jr.
Yep.
And he produced the first 2, right? Was that right?
Yeah, I think he's all through still, even the fourth one. Little cool thing you'll notice is Steve Miner, the director, plays the newscaster.
Oh, yes.
In the first scene there.
In the very beginning.
Yeah. When she's on the couch with the curlers in and she's watching the news about the deaths.
Yeah. And I obviously didn't recognize that was him, but when they go back, I'm like, oh, yeah, it did look like him.
Yep.
That first scene, she was like overly pissed at him for knocking over the clothesline.
Yeah.
I was like, why the hell is she yelling so much at him?
Yeah. They're just in that stage of the relationship where they just fucking hate each other.
Yeah, that happens for a lot of couples even now.
Oh, yeah. I had a girlfriend when I was a senior in high school that was like that. All I wanted to, whenever, before we jumped on the phone, it got to the point at the end of the relationship where before I called her, when I pulled out my phone and she was calling me, I'm like, oh, what can I say that would just piss her off?
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to piss her off.
And I guess it wasn't really conscious like that, but we'd start talking, and then I would just start saying things like, oh, this is going to get her. Oh, this will show her.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck are we coming to here?
Why are we even together still?
So then we broke up.
But it amuses you to piss them off when you don't even like them.
I remember, she'll probably never be listening to this, but I remember we broke up. Over the phone I said something like, maybe we should just we're just fighting all the time. We just shouldn't be together anymore. And she's like, well, why don't you just come over and we'll talk about it and we can decide. And if we need to break up, that's fine. I was like, all right, I'll be over there. And she was in her mom's basement, and I used to jump over the fence and sneak through her window. So I jumped over the fence and sneaked through her window. and she's just laying on the bed in lingerie.
Oh shit!
It's like, I guess we're not talking about breaking up.
So she swooned you back in.
Yeah, I think we broke up like the next day.
But you took care of business that night.
Yeah, that night.
And then the next day you're like, okay, that was great last night, but still not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we can do that if you want. Like, call me when you want to do that.
Yeah,
but
yeah. You're not talking to me.
No,
okay,
not you.
You're talking about the girl.
I'm still talking about the story.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. He was looking at me when he said it, so I was like, dude, calm down.
Let's not. No, you were getting excited. I was.
Yeah, I was.
I'm like, dude, calm down.
My foot was tapping a little bit there.
So this movie was shot
in 3D.
3D, yes.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Shot in 3D. This was new technology at the time. Probably trying to do the same thing, or whether they copied whoever. Freddy was being shot in 3D around this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was before Freddy.
Yeah, it was before because Freddy. What number was shot in 3D? It was like.
It was 4, I think.
Yeah,
Freddy
I can't remember.
Part 4, and that was
just spent the whole last month, and I can't remember which one was shot in 3D.
I think it was Freddy Part 4 or Part 5 that was shot in 3D. And that was not until like 86.
Dream Master, Dream
or
Child.
87. So this was before that, yeah.
All
this
right,
is one of the staples.
They pioneered 3D. Although I think there were some earlier 3D movies, but this one was the new technology. And because of that, they had a shitload of problems on the set.
Yeah. It took so much time, like extra time.
The actors were more worried about making the objects they were using work for the 3D than acting almost, because they had to take so many takes to redo a bunch of takes, not because of their acting or anything, but because, for instance, there's the scene where he's yo-yoing into her face. Mm-hmm. She's laying down and he's hanging the yo-yo off the deck.
Yeah.
And he's just concentrating on getting the yo-yo exactly at the camera lens and not even caring about his scene,
and I actually noticed him focusing really hard on that. I mean, we didn't watch it in
3D.
3D.
No.
But so it probably would have been better if we did. But I noticed him really focusing.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with him? He's just really looking at that yo-yo. And there was a couple other scenes in the movie that was like that too. And the actors admitted that. They're like, we were more worried about not having to redo the scene over and over and over again because of the damn 3D camera.
Yeah. And the other scenes, like Shelley throwing his wallet, they did that a bunch. Like the wallet jumps out of you, and when Rob's eyeball pops out, not Rob, that's the other movie. The boyfriend of the main girl in it. When his eyeball,
that pops
lunges out and it pops at you towards the screen.
They shove the thing through the girl in the beginning's neck, or not beginning, but her neck, and that comes. Or it is the beginning, right? The knitting needle. Yeah, through her neck, and that pops out towards you.
Yep, that's the very beginning too. Yeah,
they had to worry about all these things popping out at you,
and then the harpoon gun popping out too. So yeah, I mean, it took a lot of time, and there was so many mishaps, like the whole like sound light production thing fell down, and a lot of the actors said they spent time just sitting around waiting.
A lot of time sitting around. Yeah, that's right. They set up like a track shot and a big camera and everything, and the whole thing fell over. Yeah, as they were trying to work with it.
It's insane.
So,
and it was filmed in Green Valley, California. Green Valley, California, at a ranch in California.
Yep.
So they built the whole house. They actually even built the lake and filled it with water too.
Yeah, they had to build. They built everything there. They built the barn. They built all of that.
They built a house.
The
barn's in the fourth one, or is there a barn?
No, the barn's in the.
Is there a barn for
the third one? Because the motorcycle.
Oh yeah. Duh.
Gang goes in it.
Yeah. I'm an idiot. Yeah, the barn's in the third one.
They built the barn. Yeah. They built everything there. Mm-hmm. You had Dana Kimmel playing the lead actress, and they found her because they liked her in Sweet 16.
Yes, that's right.
Which was a movie before that.
She played Chris in that's the character's name was Chris in part 3.
And you already mentioned Larry Zerner. I guess they approached him on the streets because they saw this overweight, nerdy looking dude.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, that's sort of what I heard. I don't know if that's totally true. Maybe he had a little bit of acting background, but they thought he would be perfect. So.
Yeah, he did great. He was the jokester, and he was the one that initially, and I know we're not there yet, but he's the one that introduced the whole world to the Jason mask.
Yeah, and he in an interview with Larry Zerner, he said, that people will come up to him and either say, "You were so great, I loved your character, so unique," or people will come up to him and say, "Sorry, man, but you had the worst character in the whole series."
Yeah.
So
there was either or, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had the Jason hockey mask because he was like the jokester, the prankster.
Yeah, well, for his character, obviously.
Yeah, for his character.
I mean, he didn't come up with it, but
but it was his. Yeah,
his character that introduced it. You had Richard Brooker playing Jason. Mm-hmm. So now we have another Jason. I mean, 3 different Jasons.
Already, yeah.
4 different Jasons if you count, because you had 2 different ones in part 2.
Yeah.
If I got that right. I forgot who played it in part 1.
There
wasn't a Jason.
No, part 1 was... Well,
it was a kid.
He comes in at the very end, but it was Ari Lechman or something. Ari Lechman.
Yeah. So technically, if you count part 1, the kid is the Jason, then we do have 4 different Jasons so far.
Yeah. He's counted for sure.
So Richard Brooker played Jason. He was a stuntman who had been, he was old. He'd been doing this for 40 years as a stuntman. And before this, he was also with the circus. He's a trapeze artist. Mm-hmm. So he was a bigger Jason than they've had. Taller, stockier, in good shape. They wanted him to be able to move around a little bit more and be a little more... not acrobatic, but just jumping, running. I mean, he did do more of that. Running towards them, jumping around. He jumped down out of the barn loft and all that.
Yeah, and he jumped out of the way of the car and stuff. And you could totally tell he was definitely more acrobatic.
I found it funny that him and the guy who played Jason in the 4th one, I know we're not to the 4th one yet, Ted White, they both were like, at the time, they didn't think it was the most professional, especially Brooker, who had been in the business for 30, 40 years. And he didn't, both of them were sort of like that, where they got offered the part again and didn't want to play it, turned it down.
Yeah.
And they were both like, I wish we had.
Yeah, now they both
wish we had still played it.
They both look back now.
Looking back now, wish I would have played the part.
Yeah, they wish they wouldn't have turned it down, because I think Richard Brooker got offered part 4. He didn't take it, and then they got Ted White to do it.
Yeah.
He did a great job in part 4, and they offered Ted White, part 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah,
and he turned it down.
He turned that down as well.
Now he wished he would have taken it. So.
So we were talking about how they built the entire set in California there. I guess they also had trouble with nature while they were building.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of bees and rattlesnakes mainly.
Bees infestation, yeah.
And a lot of rattlesnakes. And at one point while the actors were there, they heard gunshots and they were actually shooting some of the rattlesnakes. Mm-hmm. The crew was shooting at some of the rattlesnakes. So it was cursed from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the house burned down.
Yeah.
After production. I don't know how long after production, but if you go, they went, as part of the documentary, they went back later on, and the house was burnt down.
Yeah, and all you could see left was the chimney.
Yep.
Yeah,
which is also what happened to Evil Dead. I just got to stick that in there. Mm-hmm. Evil Dead cabin burned down years later, and all that was left was the chimney. And I even think that, people were going there and taking rocks from the chimney and getting them signed by Bruce Campbell, but now you can't really go there anymore. So.
I wouldn't doubt that both places, the Evil Dead cabin and part 3, the house in part 3, were both vandalized, or maybe kids were there and caught on fire or something happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, in Evil Dead, they claim that it was struck by lightning.
Oh, really?
Because that was actually a worry. I know we're getting off the topic here, but I love Evil Dead.
It's still the same.
So I know that when they actually found the shooting location for Evil Dead, it was in it was a cabin that was there already, and it was built by someone, in the Civil War era or something like that. And then the last inhabitants to live there were these homeless people or people without a home that just sort of went in and lived there for, I think it was for an amount of years.
Really?
But it was known, it's in a valley, and it was known for lightning storms around that area. And so I think it was that was the story. They were building the cabin, and the person building it, right before they got done, got struck by lightning and was killed.
Oh my gosh!
So the person building it literally, if you look at the cabin, well, now it's gone, but back then when you got there and looked at the cabin, the chimney was missing a couple bricks because he was up there finishing the bricks and got struck by lightning and died. And so then, of course, years and years later, the crew coming in to film there were warned of lightning, and they did experience a couple lightning storms, and they were nerve-wracking.
And when they came and filmed, it was just a abandoned cabin.
Yeah,
that was just sitting there. Yeah.
And so then they say after they got done filming, lightning struck and burnt the place down. Yeah. So who knows if that's all true. It was in that valley.
That's crazy. And this place got burned down. So you never know. The house that got built in part 3 might have got struck by lightning too and got burnt down. They were saying and I kind of noticed this, the opening credits, the soundtrack of part 3 had more of like a disco sound.
Yeah, it was a major disco feel, they said.
And, it opens up like dun 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 dun, and the 3D pops out at you. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a controversy back then. Some people liked disco. There was disco sucks signs everywhere and stuff. So it worked though, I think, for it.
Yeah, well, they call it the disco movie, and there's even a couple like bands to this day that'll play the disco band. That'll play the theme from.
They'll play that beginning theme.
This is the disco theme from part 3.
Mm-hmm.
So and then so all the disco that I think it was the opening and closing and wherever you hear the disco music was composed by the certain composer. I didn't even write his fucking name down.
Yeah,
but it says composed by him and then performed by. And then they made up this fake band name called Hot Ice.
Yeah, that's right.
So it says composed by such and such, performed by Hot Ice, when really it's a fake name, and they use drum machines and keyboards to create it.
Yeah. So that guy did the main disco like theme song, but Harry Manfredini was still on set for like the sound effects and all the
the main score and movie like throughout the movie soundtrack was Harry Manfredini again. But just the disco stuff was someone else.
Yeah.
So,
which you can't help but tap your foot to, but it was in an era where it was like a little iffy on people liking disco or not too.
So we were talking about the hockey mask. Apparently, so it was 3 crew members that were hockey fans, and of course, when you watch documentary footage, there's a lot of people that like to take credit for suggesting the hockey mask, but I think it really did come down to a few of the crew members were hockey fans and said, well, let's throw a hockey mask on them.
Like 3 crew members. Yeah.
And so they did, and the rest is history.
And it just stuck. And it was like better than the pillowcase. And they needed something to cover his face, so it just stuck. Now it's like one of the most...
I think they threw around the idea of not using something and just using his face, but they said it was going to be... I don't know why they didn't go with that. Too gruesome to have showing during the whole movie. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But said they needed a mask of some kind.
And now it's one of the most iconic horror faces mask in all of horror history. So it is. It's a good thing that they did use it. And they were saying some of the kills and these movies, they tend to be the same, but I do like the kills in them. I think their kills are pretty gruesome, and that's what we horror fans love. One of the Jason is famous for using many weapons like machetes to knives to pitchforks. I think there's like that picture.
There's like 4 pitchfork kills, and throughout both these movies actually. Well,
this one had a lot of them throughout the barn,
and the 4th one did too. They had a couple pitchfork kills. So
he used the pitchfork a lot in these ones. And they were talking about the pitchfork, the biker chick that got pitchforked to the wall in the barn. I guess the middle 2 spikes were collapsible, and then the outer one just went on the outside of her neck. So she actually had to sit there still with the collapsible pitchfork and blood, and she was like pinned to the wall. But the pitchfork kill is pretty cool. I like it.
So it came out and did real well. It actually, I think E.T. was out at the time it came out, and part 3 came out and knocked it from number 1 in the box office down. And so I believe in theaters, part 3 did $36.7 million gross when it came out.
Yeah, $36.7 million in gross, and in the first 17 days it did $27 million. And that was a lot back then.
Yeah, and I didn't catch the budget on this one.
I know the budget for the third one was fourth one was $2.6 million. So I'm guessing it was probably around there.
Maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it did well by all means in the theaters when they released it. Mm-hmm. And
there was some controversy too. Like the end of this one was kind of similar to the first one because Jason comes out of the water, and then you see Jason's mom coming out of the water with her head back. But obviously, it's all a dream. But it's like, what the hell? Her head's back. Her head was in Jason's little house in the woods, and now she's back.
Well, that's what, when we watched it, I was like, what the like, is she alive now? What are they trying to do here? And after we did some research on it, it was their intention that was a dream. That was a sort of a dream part.
Yeah.
She imagined that.
And we didn't know it was a dream at the moment, but then...
No, I don't think they make it clear enough, so I don't know.
But now we figured, we knew it was a dream, so it's like, okay, that makes sense, I guess.
A couple more notes I had. Tracy Savage, who was in the movie.
He played Debbie.
Yeah, played Debbie. She actually became a famous journalist and covered the O.J. Simpson case.
That's right, yes. She was in a few... I don't know if she was in any movies after this.
No, I think she went... could have been, but as far as I know, went straight into journalism and is famous for the O.J. case, which has a series on right now that we haven't been watching.
Yeah,
but
which we need to watch that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty crazy. I mean, going from Friday the 13th to covering the O.J. Simpson case, being killed in Friday the 13th, which one of my favorite kills in this part 3 out of all of them is where he's doing when he's walking on his hands. And he gets split. His body gets split down the middle.
That is this one, right? Are you sure it's not the fourth one?
Yeah, that's this one because that's where we saw the side boob in the shower.
Are you sure?
That's all we saw.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That is a really good death. Yeah. They actually
splits him in half from the groin down.
Yeah. Yeah. But they built a fiberglass floor on the set.
Yeah.
A see-through floor, and obviously shot from underneath. And to catch that shot, so that was really cool.
Because it was shot from his head up, looking up through his legs. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then later you see his body like finagled up in the rafters, above, and his intestines are just sticking out. It was pretty gruesome.
This is the one that obviously that ends in the barn too, where she's holding onto the beam up above there.
Yeah,
I thought it was so ridiculous. She was like falling and losing her grip.
Yeah.
I'm like, just chill on the beam. She like starts falling for no reason.
Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? You can't balance up there?
I was like, just hold on to that fucking thing. You're laying right on top of it. You're really losing your grip and falling. I don't know. You have to watch it. It just looks stupid as fuck. It looks like she could easily just hang out there.
Yeah.
And she randomly starts falling.
And then her and Jason get into it though.
Yeah. Well, she said that I actually was up on that beam 20 feet in the air and have some bruises from that. And so.
Yes, I have bumps and bruises. Dana Kimmel, which plays Chris. And then it does end weird. Like she puts an axe into his head, and that's where the famous mark in Jason's mask has the axe mark in it now.
Well, and this was gonna be the last one. According to most people, it was gonna be the last one. I think the producers had different ideas, maybe, or even Paramount were like, well, this probably won't be the last one. But the director, the crew, a lot of them were like, this is the last one for sure. We need to just end it here. We're going to kill him. But obviously it wasn't. So
yeah, obviously it wasn't. And part 4 is supposed to be the last one. And obviously that wasn't the last one either.
It's always supposed to be the last one. That happened with Freddy like 4 times. All right, this is the last one. Okay, this is the last one.
Yeah. It's never the last one.
I guess if you can make money doing it.
And with horror movies, people feed off that. They like, ooh, there's another one coming up. They feed off that. You know? So it's with horror movies, you can kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
As opposed to some other movies.
Now it's remakes. Nowadays it's all remakes, which like Rob said last time, he fucking hates all of them. And actually, except for the Evil Dead one was good. It doesn't really fit in the Evil Dead series or go with the originals or anything. It doesn't have the same feel whatsoever. But on its own, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
So,
it doesn't have like the Bruce Campbell feel like the classics, but it's just all in all a gruesome.
It's just like movie. A different take on the same story almost. Not the same exact story, but anyways, not that all of these remakes are bad, but a lot of them and they probably could have got away with just doing a sequel or something.
What the hell is that sound?
Oh, my ears are drizzling.
My ears are drizzling with blood.
My brain matter is coming out of my ears.
Oozing blood of brains.
Oh, that means it's time for the horror halftime.
The horror halftime is here.
So
we got something for you guys.
Yeah, we do. First of all, our horror freak of the week. Well, I don't know if we. So Rob was a guest on the show.
Rob O'Neill. Shout
out
to you, brother.
He was also horror freak of the week, and I don't think we even announced that yet. But
we announced it on the last one.
It? Well, we announced
because he was on or the episode
Mike Vanderbilt in the last one, I think, and I don't know. Whatever. I just sent him a shirt and posted him on the page, so he was horror freak of the week. And now we're gonna give you something to do, and you could win horror freak of the week and a free shirt as well. Yes. Or it might not always be a shirt; it could be something else.
Yeah. We do have a Friday the 13th shirt that we just released as well.
Yeah, so we'll send that one to you. All right, so for this horror halftime, what we're going to have you guys do is send us a picture of you in your Jason mask.
We know you guys have Jason masks. I mean, I even have one at my house.
Everyone has a Jason mask. So just take a picture of yourself and post it on our page on Facebook, facebook.com/cultclassichorror. Don't I think I've been losing some people's stuff. So don't go to a post and post it in the comments. Don't do anything else except go to our page and actually post it on the page. Its own post it on the page.
Yes.
Okay. And that's where I'll see it. All right.
Yeah. So don't do it in the comments.
Otherwise you could message if you're like, what the fuck do? I don't know what I'm doing. You could message it to the page if you're really lost.
And we can post it for you.
Yeah.
Too.
So post it on the page, and we'll pick one of our favorites, and we'll send you some free shit.
Just a picture of you guys doing something cool with the mask on,
wearing
or just
the
a
Jason
plain
mask.
Picture with you wearing the Jason mask, and we'll see.
Obviously, the more authentic the mask, maybe the better chance you'll have. So if it's just one of those cheesy glow in the dark hockey masks, I don't know, you might win if that's the only ones that get sent. But if you got the Jason mask with the red marks on it, maybe even the cut in it,
slit with the axe in his head,
it's all discolored, that'd be cool. Send us that.
Yeah, send us your authentic ones, guys.
All right, that wraps up the horror halftime, and we'll move on to part 4.
Yeah, let's do it.
Which 4. Actually isn't called part 4. It's
the final chapter.
The final chapter, which wasn't actually the final chapter. But yeah, it's called the final chapter.
It was the first final chapter out of many final chapters.
Yes, of course.
But part 4 made 2 years later after part 3 in 1984, as we were talking about.
Yep, directed by Joseph Zito.
Yes, we have some familiar faces in this one.
And I had some before we get into the details. I also had just some watching the movie notes too.
Yeah, me too.
So actually, this doesn't even apply only to part 4. This applies to the whole series and almost every old horror movie. Mm-hmm. It's they have the shittiest flashlights ever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just really noticed it on one part in part 4 where they have a flashlight and they're looking around and literally the light the portion that the light is shined on that they can see is the size of a coaster. Mm-hmm. It's they're shining a coaster-sized light. That's all it's revealing in the dark.
It's even smaller than that. It's the size of this microphone that I'm
what the fuck is wrong with their flashlight? Any normal flashlight would light up a 4-foot area,
Yeah, they have
but they got this
crappy flashlights.
Narrow beam, coaster-sized beam shining all along the wall. Obviously it's probably how the camera sees the flashlight. When you're recording someone shining a flashlight, you don't catch it all, but still, it's fucking ridiculous.
They should use the bright flashlights that they used behind Kevin Bacon when the lightning went off. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
In the first one, but they don't have those bright ones, dang it.
Another thing is towards the end when she's running from Jason, and she's in the house, she's running from Jason, and she keeps running she opens the front door and there's a dead body laying there. Mm-hmm. And she turns around and runs the other way. I'm just fucking step over the body.
Yeah.
Run out the front door, step over the body. And then she goes to the back door and he's she opens it and he's nailed to
the door.
Yeah, and he's in the way. It's like, we'll go around him. It's like, what the fuck? There's a killer chasing you. You open the door, there's a dead body, and you're like too scared to walk over it.
And then she breaks a window out with a chair and jumps out the window instead.
Yeah.
And like takes way too much time. But what's funny, she goes out and then she goes to her house and then Jason chases her back through the same house and she steps over the body and goes into the house.
Yeah, So the second time she can step over the body. The first time it's a no-go.
And then this is Trish.
It was ridiculous.
Is Trish Jarvis, Kimberly Beck, and she's one of the main girls in it.
Ridiculous. And then of course now it's becoming a signature thing that of course Jason throwing a victim through the window.
Oh yeah, part 3 and part 4 happened.
Yeah, and was it
and part 2?
Part 2, 3, and 4.
I think maybe part 1.
Part 1 is his mom fucking throws.
Throws the girl Brenda.
Yeah, freaking archery range girl through the window.
And then the hiker gets thrown through the window. Well, the guy Rob gets thrown through the window for this one, and it always happens like the girl's like silent, which is Kimberly Beck at this point. She's silent and she's looking around, and all of a sudden, the window breaks in, and then Jason throws a body through the window.
He just fucking loves throwing people through windows, and his mom does too.
Yeah,
he's like a little kid.
And this one too, the Jason specialty. Knife stab through the back, up through the chest in the raft. Happens in the raft.
Yep.
And then it happens in
the hammock too.
In the hammock too, which is the third one.
The third one, yeah.
Yeah. So up through the back, through the chest.
You had it with Kevin Bacon. You had it in the hammock, and then you had it in the raft too. Mm-hmm.
That's everywhere. It's a
and
Jason
then
specialty.
Technically, you had it with the hitchhiker eating the banana.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As well.
God, that's the beginning of this one. That first part was so disturbing because I mean, I don't really mind like the whatever it was, the harpoon sticking through her neck or through her chest. I think it was through her neck, out the other side. But it's the banana gush or the leftover banana that's coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, that's gross as fuck.
And she's like squeezing the banana. And it flops out.
It's like, close your mouth while you're eating and being killed.
Yeah, for God's
gross. Fuck. We don't want to see your food.
Which is a funny note. Tom Savini did that.
So actually. Tom Savini is back for part 4 now.
Sorry,
they brought him back.
Give it away, guys.
You gave it away.
I know.
Tom Savini is back for part 4. The legendary sex machine.
We love Tom Savini. Tom, we love you, man. Sex machine, Dust Till Dawn.
Yep.
He's just a badass.
And that was actually him working the knife, his legs and everything that were going on behind Banana Girl.
Banana Hitchhiker. Yeah. Tom Savini is the makeup extraordinaire. He's the best. But yeah, because and she, we'll just get into this later. I don't want to. I have notes.
Let's get down.
Let's just get into it.
So I already said Joseph Zito is director. Obviously, we keep waiting for Jason to wake up in the beginning of this movie because he's dead. He had an axe in the head. They load him in the ambulance. They even take him to the hospital. He's at the morgue. His hand falls out a couple times.
Yep.
This is really the start of Jason being supernatural or not able to die.
Yeah.
And so our first little hint is that they put him in the morgue drawer. Mm-hmm. And I didn't notice this until we researched it. They put him in the morgue drawer, and as he's shutting the door, you see a puff of breath come up from Jason.
Puff of air, like the sheet rises.
Well, no, you see it's like from his... It's cold in there, so you see like the...
Oh, yeah.
The air from his mouth, the steam or whatever. And I didn't notice that till we watched it later on. So if you guys are watching that, maybe you didn't either catch that. They're shoving him in the drawer. They're closing the door, and you see him breathe a little bit.
His hot breath come up.
Yeah.
And it's weird, like, he's in the morgue. He gets taken in the hospital. And the whole time, he comes alive after he gets put in the morgue. You think maybe he just came to, and then you think he would have killed or got up before he got put in that drawer. Yeah. But it's Jason.
Oh, so I have written. I think I fucked up a little bit when we were talking before. So Ted White, who played Jason in this one, was the 30-year veteran stuntman, and Brooker was just the circus trapeze artist.
Yes.
That's I got him. I was like combining the two of them. So yeah, Ted White was the stuntman. Brooker had experience, trapeze artist, so was bigger and everything.
And they and as we were saying, Ted White got offered the fifth one, but he obviously turned it down and regretted it. It's funny when this movie first starts out. You get the helicopter in there, and it kind of has that big budget movie feel. Say, you got the helicopter, which he was shining his light on nothing. Yeah,
they just had it there just for no reason.
For the big budget feel.
And they weren't obviously Corey Feldman is in this one, and they weren't going to cast him because he was too small. They just said the kid's too small. We're not going to cast him. They told Corey, you're too small. We just can't see you with a machete.
Yeah, we can't.
And he's like, well, give me a machete.
We can't see you killing Jason with a machete.
And let me do that. And so he demonstrated chopping someone up with a machete, and they were sold on it, I guess.
And he had that sinister look. And of course, Corey Feldman is one of the more popular ones.
Yeah.
He's went on to do bigger and better, bigger movies and stuff, too.
Yeah, and actually, this released like almost right at the same time that Gremlins did that he's in as well.
Yes, that's right.
So he had two blockbuster movies right around each other for a little kid. It's got to be awesome.
And he was 11 years old. Yeah.
It wasn't as awesome, though, as all the boobies in the movie because, like you already mentioned, but he actually admitted that he was excited about all the booby scenes.
He's like, I got to do scenes with boobies.
This is awesome. And apparently he was trying to be like one of them.
Yeah.
And I think they were all nice to him and everything.
He always wanted to be with the actors and do everything that they did.
Because they were all hanging out together and they'd go to town together and he's always like, I want to come too. Let me come. I want to hang out with you guys. And it was like the cool crew or the older cast members.
Yeah. But the producer, Frank Mancuso Jr., he kept them happy, but he kind of like had a heart-to-heart to him. Like, hey, Corey, you're 11. You can't stay out late with all the actors. You have to go home and get some sleep and be like a regular 11-year-old. And he just wasn't like that. He just wanted to be with the actors and experience the whole thing.
And Ted White, who played Jason, like fucking hated Corey Feldman.
Yeah, and same as goes for Corey Feldman, hated Ted White too.
I think Corey Feldman was nervous and afraid of Ted White, and Ted White just said that. Ted White. So was the 30-year veteran stuntman who's older. He was like in his 50s or something, and he just said, I did not want to deal with this little shithead running around. And he said he was just a little shithead, a little shit running around and not well behaved, and he couldn't stand him. And
on the movie set,
he said it took all his strength not to just tear his head off when he's sitting next to him on set.
And when he first gets Corey, or Tommy, which is his name in the movie, he goes through the window and grabs him. He's like, that first scene, I just wanted to just choke him out. But, I mean, you're 11-year-old, you're going to be a little shit, And speaking of Ted White, he spent time on the set away from all the actors.
Yeah.
So just so he can get into his Jason part and not be friendly to his fellow actors. Not necessarily friendly, but just not build a relationship with them.
Well, he didn't want to 1 minute be joking with them and then the next minute be trying to kill them.
Exactly.
Which I don't know. I can see both sides, but I mean, that's why you're an actor. And Jason doesn't even really, you don't even have to be an actor. You just walk, run around and try to kill people. So I don't know. I don't think it would have been a big deal to hang out with everybody and then have fun trying to kill them. But some people that helps them. I don't know.
And Ted White also, he watched the other Jasons and thought that Jason moved a little slower, and in part 3 and part 2, and he added actually a little more speed to his character. He ran after, instead of walking slow towards his victims, he ran after them and was fast and this and that, and agile, and he did his own little take on the character that way too.
So then the house that they used was actually sort of a famous house. Well, came to be because they used it in Eraser, which wasn't that
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, Schwarzenegger.
And Vanessa Williams?
I'm not sure who the girl was in it. They used it in Eraser, and it was in some episodes of Entourage as well.
Mm-hmm. And My Girl, too. Yes. Yeah. But this was the Jarvis house that we're talking about. Yeah. Which the other house was which all the teenagers went to, which was next door.
Yeah, so I guess the director Zito loved the Jarvis house so much, wanted to use it, but needed two houses right next to each other because of the whole plot of the movie, and got the studio to build the entire house across from the Jarvis house. And so it at first was intended to be this very big open house that was great for shooting inside of and shooting the cameras and everything. But as the budget constricted a little bit, the house got smaller and smaller, and it ended up looking good still, but not the exact thing they wanted.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know if you guys noticed too, but in the first part, or a little bit into it, we see Jason's mom's grave, Pamela Voorhees, and we really didn't know her name, her first name. We just knew it was Jason's mom, Mrs. Voorhees. And it's funny, Betsy Palmer even jokes about it. She's like, 10 years later, and I finally found out what my first name was, Pamela.
Which the movie wasn't 10 years later, so maybe she wasn't paying attention and didn't find out until 10 years later.
So she might have just not known that too, but it's just kind of a funny fact there. They
also, when filming, we talked about how she gets stabbed through the raft. So when filming that, she actually got hypothermia because Joseph Zito was so adamant about, no, we got to get this scene. And it was, this whole shoot for part 4 was freezing out. It was wintertime. She was saying how it was 25 degrees outside, and even colder in the water. And there she is naked. Maybe she had bottoms on, but naked in the water. And they're doing this take. They were out there for like 4 hours or more. And at one point, she was turning blue, and Ted White actually stepped in and was like, "You need to get her out of that water, like right now." And Joseph Zito sort of said, he wanted to get the shot, and he wanted to just finish it up. And he was like, you play Jason, and I'll play the director. And I guess Ted White said, well, if you don't get her out of the water right now, I'm walking out of here.
Yeah, I'm walking off set, not coming back.
So then they pulled her out of the water and heated her up for an hour or so, and then put her back in and finished. And she said it was much better after that, but ended up having hypothermia and was sick for like 4 days straight after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's 30 degrees outside, and you're in freezing water.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be so cold. Yeah, I mean, the guy that played Rob, Eric Anderson, which was the hiker, he said it was like, it felt like a military boot camp because they got water thrown on him, and it was freezing outside, and it was treacherous.
Raining all the time.
But down in 35-degree weather.
Yeah. So then I forgot the guy's name, but he's the one who's watching he's the one who tries to get laid and doesn't, and is watching.
I have it here. Lawrence Monason.
Oh yeah, Monason, that was his name.
And he plays Ted. Yeah.
So Ted, I guess, he's supposed to be by himself watching the film projector and getting stoned.
The softcore porn that's on
the silent porn.
Silent porn.
And so he thought to himself, well, why don't I actually get stoned and see how this goes? Yeah. And he smoked in his trailer and then came out and couldn't do shit. He didn't understand what the director was saying, couldn't understand, just botched the whole thing and had to read and had to not do it stoned.
Which you could see, I don't know, I mean, the one they use when the tape recorder goes out and it's just him standing by the projector screen, and his eyes look almost a little bloodshot.
Yeah.
I
don't think they used the footage of him being stoned. But I could be wrong, but I don't know if they even got to shoot it because he was so out of it.
And he got the knife to the back of the head through the projector screen, which Tom Savini created a fake head, which looked like replicated. He's so amazing in this.
Yeah.
Which that was a pretty cool kill too.
So they released it. It did $32.9 million in the box office, which is a little bit less than part 2. And the critics didn't like this one. I think they were. I know they were getting heat by this point for just becoming too violent and visual. And is this just smut? Or what are they trying to do here?
Yeah.
With all these movies and. So I think it came out at a time where they were getting hit for that.
Yeah.
And it might have been a little bit less popular because of that, but not by much. I mean,
still pretty good success. I mean, didn't do as good as
only
part
about
3.
$4 million less at the box office.
2 years later, and it still did with a budget of $2.6 million. I mean, they still made their money back and some. So.
And the difference with this one is everyone was actually on board with this being the last Jason. the studio. I think everyone knew, okay, the final chapter, that's why we called it that. This is going to be the last Jason. But then...
That's what they're looking they came up with so many ways to kill him at the very end.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we need to really kill him off. Well,
I should rephrase what I was saying. That I don't think the studio was on board with it being the last one, because the director, the writer, everyone was like, last Jason, this is all we're doing. And then they were discussing with the studio how he was going to die. And they were saying things like lop his head off or chop his head in half. And the studio was leaning towards things like, no, we don't want to cut any body parts off. We just, a knife through some of his head, or which is what it ended up being. Or so obviously they wanted him to come back.
But I wonder if the studio wanted that. But I wonder if all the producer and director wait, this is the last one though. Don't you want his head to be cut off?
I think there was.
So they're like, no, let's leave it open. For
I think it was
going to
be.
One.
I think it was for sure going to be the last one. Then the studio started hinting that they didn't really want to shut the door on it, and then I think no one really disagreed. But even though they were still writing it to be the last one,
even they even came up with Corey Feldman's part, where he made a microwave device that exploded his head because he was all technical and
that would be a different ending.
But we don't want his head to explode, which I thought he was dying with the knife sliding down the cross of the side of his face.
That looked pretty cool.
That was pretty
a good
badass.
effect. Yeah, and then they also gave the look from Corey Feldman at the end that said maybe he's going to be Psycho now. Maybe he's the killer.
Which totally intended for future Fridays.
Yeah.
With that look. Okay.
Well, and that's what Joseph Zito said. He said, if I were to continue on with this series, I would make a bunch of successive killers that weren't the same person. So... For instance, Jason would be dead, but then his psychoness was passed on to Corey Feldman or Tommy.
Yeah.
And then he would then be the killer in the next one. But then at the end of that one, it would be passed on to someone else. Then they would be the killer. So that's how he said he would have done it if he were to keep doing that himself. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I know you guys have probably seen it, but you'll find out what happens in part 5.
Yeah.
Even though we don't know what happens either, so...
I don't think I've watched all these movies all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've seen part 5, but it's been so long, and it's nice to watch them right after each other. So,
but I think that wraps up part 3 and 4.
Yeah, good movies, guys. They're very entertaining, very of course great for cult classic.
Yeah, they're a little bit meshing into each other, and you sort of know what's going to happen. Basically, people watch these to see, and they even said this in the documentary, people watch these just to see how they die. We all know what's going to happen. We all know the basic story. But let's just see what the special effects guy has in for us this go around.
Yeah.
Let's see what they've come up with this time. How are they going to die this time? Yeah. So it's sort of these cheap thrills.
Yeah. Like the harpoon through the eye. That was badass.
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, it is. It's just a cheap thrill. I mean, the acting's not always great, but it's it's the cheesiness that you guys love, and it's what we love too. Yep. So,
well, that wraps up this episode. As always, visit us at cultclassichorror.com, Facebook.com/cultclassichorror, Instagram at cultclassichorror, Twitter at Cult Horror Show. And if you haven't already, give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate that, and download the show
guys.
there. And just keep up with us. You can enter our email list on the website through many different ways you'll see there. And we'll always send out updates on new episodes. And then sometimes we'll send out other updates too for special events and things like that. So thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Make sure to get those your horror halftime pictures out with your Jason masks too.
Yep. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. See you next week, guys.